for African Americans to get out of poverty in the depth of time. But then we start getting these guys that didn't play athletics and taking over these presidency jobs and not putting the money where it should be. You know what I'm saying? PWIs have made sacrifices to turn it around. The average black person, average black family in America make between $45,000 and $50,000 a year. Because they don't have money to give back to black colleges, man. They barely making ends meet. But then we got these celebrities. We all want to jump on football players or LeBron James or Michael Strahan. It's some other black folks out there that makes money as well. And I think that our celebrities, if they're really concerned about HBCUs, come together. Don't jump on Dion. Don't jump on Michael. Come together. Jay-Z, we got some of the greatest entertainers in the world. Don't we, Rob?
Yeah.
Greatest entertainers in the
world. Let me give you another point of view. Or not another point of view, just kind of explain what he was talking about. He said Dion brought the public, the fanfare, the fans, not HBCU fans. He brought just the casual football fan to HBCU football. People like myself, Coach, brought me to HBCU football. And then, use that platform to create an opportunity for him and himself. And he's talking to black people. He's saying that casual fan now took their interest away from HBCU football, away from Jackson State, and and they followed Dion to Colorado. And he said that doesn't advance the progress of black people. That only continues to feed and add dollars to the coffers of Colorado, a 92% white university.
Can I say we talked about this earlier in the show, where I was saying about Dion, at times he took the wrong approach. He was more damaging sometimes in HBCUs than he was helpful. He called the governor one time, talked about Pell Grants and all that kind of stuff. And, he made several comments about stuff he really didn't make about. Dion was just learning the game. He just was, but we should want black coaches. My young black coaches, they're coaching in pros. I got several of them. They coached under me. Coach at the Pittsburgh Steelers. One is coaching at the Baltimore Ravens. I tell them, don't come back to HBCU. You know what I'm saying? I tell them, to keep, because the more we got up there, the more we could be able to bring up there. Each one teach one, each one bring one. That's my solution. But I think the HBCUs need to get together, and I've said this several times, and put together a TV package with all the bowl games, the classics, and be able to go sell that package, not for no 10 million, no 5 million. We need to be asking for $75, $100 million. You know what I'm saying? That's what we need to do. So right now, until we come together, we got to stop pointing fingers, man, and start, because when you point one out there, you got 3 or 4 coming right at you. And I think we could do a better job of marketing HBCUs. We do a better job of putting good head coaches in these situations and good ADs. We need to hire good ADs as well in these situations, and good presidents. These presidents got to stop thinking that the campus is theirs. We got to hire people around these black colleges that have skin in the game. You know what I mean? They got skin in the game, Rocky. They don't walk them. They don't stay in them dormitories, and they care about making this school great.
Absolutely, Coach. And as we, talk about Deion and Charleston White's comments, it brings me back to that the notion that HBCUs and HBCU people should take care of those universities and not wait for a savior or someone to come from the outside to either illuminate or create fanfare around athletics, HBCU colleges, whatever. It's the people within the community. And when I think about that, Coach, that's also the good and the bad about HBCUs. Because I think HBCUs should be supported by the people within the HBCU community. But I also think Black people as a whole should be given the opportunity to see this product the same way I did, Coach, and adopt a love and a passion for it the same way I did. And there's some way that you have to show it to the masses, so to speak, right? While also having that HBCU community take care of that product, take care of those institutions and universities. I'm not an expert on how that should be done, but at the end of the day, I think that's the same way that the casual fan feels comfortable supporting Alabama, Georgia, Florida State. They ain't never been on none of these campuses whatsoever, but they are compelled to support those universities. I think there are Black people all over America that be willing to support Jackson State and Southern and Alabama State and UAPB and Prairie View and FAMU because of what those schools represent and become fans of those schools. But right now, there's not a marketing strategy that exposes Black people and the general public of what those schools have to offer, not only in athletics, but also in education. So
let me say this. We've had the biggest opportunity to go out and find monies to help HBCUs when the unfortunate death of the gentleman, I'm talking about George Floyd. All right. I think we didn't take advantage of that. Here's what the PWIs do, Coach. They take athletics and understand that athletics is the horse, is the workhorse. They're going to feed him the greatest hay. They're going to rub him down. Or what I'm saying, if you don't understand that, they're going to put money into their athletic program because it's the biggest revenue on campus. Usually the head football coach is one of the biggest celebrities. He's out front. When you look at these top 4 schools, I like somebody to come in. Do they know the president of Michigan? Do they know the president of Alabama? Do they know the president of Texas? Do they know the president of Washington? No. And he stays behind the scene and continues to go out and raise money. Do they know the AD of those 4 schools I just told you about? No. Those guys are out making money, selling the program. Here's what the other PWIs do. They make they make it where they have academics where a kid can come there and go to school and get a 4-year degree in park and recreations, hotel management. They make it where these athletes can come in. Because I went to school, Coach. If it wasn't for football, I wasn't going to school, man. I went to school to play football and then end up getting a degree in civil engineering. But, Coach, they make it where these kids can come in and make it through 4 or 5 years because they understand the struggle. They understand that we got to have a winning football program. At HBCUs, we got what we call independent studies, but we need more degrees for these guys to come in. So our football players, and women and men, can be eligible and be able to have a great football program. They make it, Coach. I've coached before where I had a transfer come in, right? And he had an I in the class. And I'm like, man, well, you know, I don't transfer. You got to go get that I change. Shit, coach, he went right back to that school. Boom, he come back with an A. Because they believe in having great football.
Yeah, this guy said, come on, Rocky, how can a black man expect Deion to turn down that type of payday for him, his kids, and selective coaches? Now again, I've always said that Deion did the right thing for him and his family, and I can't argue that, you know. And I think overall, if he's successful, he can be a conduit to allow to other coaches to be seen as viable, you know, Power 5, Group of 5 coaching candidates. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, and I'll say this: if Willie Simmons was Willie Fritz at FAMU, he wouldn't be at FAMU. As
or
talented,
somebody be trying to give him a job now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
He's a championship coach. He's won lost 2-3 games in 2-3 years.
I want to say Coach Simmons said this the other night. He's 45-4 in conference games since he's been a head coach.
Wow. That's big.
Yeah.
That's big, coach.
You know, if
coach,
go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry, Rocky. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying if Coach Simmons was white, and I'll say it straight up, he wouldn't be at FAMU. Someone would be trying to hire him away from FAMU. But the situation is what it is in college football. And maybe Deion, this dude is tripping. Maybe Deion his success, if he's successful, that will give other black coaches an opportunity to coach at the Power 5 and the Group of 5 level. Because again, go ahead.
Can I say this about Deion?
Mm-hmm.
Deion took black coaches with him. Deion probably is the first African-American coach that has got a PWI job, a FBS PWI job. And when he's sitting at his table, he's looking at more black coaches than white coaches. Most of these black coaches who get these PWI schools do not hire black coaches. They sit there and they 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 black coaches. Deion took some black coaches and he took some from the HBCU with him. I gotta give him love, coach.
I do too, coach. I just think I agree with Charleston White that a whole lot of black people took their focus off of HBCU football and went to Colorado with him, right? Yeah. That's what I agree about. But that's the celebrity, that's the star power, and that's why Colorado hired him. You know what I mean?
Let me say this to you, coach. And this 95% of athletic directors in college are Caucasian. All right. So they don't hire people look like themselves. Here's a prime example. Jay Hobson at Alcorn came through there, won 2 championships, NCAA violations. And you know what he got? He got a job at Southern Miss. You mean to tell me Willie Simmons can't go coach at Southern Miss or some other small time PWI school? Man, it's on his face, coach. I don't have to say what it is. But until we start playing and hire good coaches to be able to go into these playoffs, LC Cole right now. You know, I got to talk about my brother, coach. He was in the PWI conference. He's the only black coach to coach NCAA football and beat PWI schools. He was 21-1, coach, in the OVC. 21-1. The last black coach, the last black team to win a national title. I mean, not win a national title, finished #1 in the nation in FCS. He's got every Coach of the Year award, and he's not coaching. He's not somewhere, and he graduated from a PWI. That's all I'm saying, Coach. That's all.
We
got time, Coach, and the HBCUs got time to blackball a coach. We got time to not hire qualified people because of some personal view or some aggression that they had in life. Rocky, I'm talking tonight.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Coach.
We got time to do that?
No, Coach. Let me and I just want to remind callers that you can call in. Our call-in number is 518-351-9464. That's 518-351-9464. We're discussing the comments that were made by Charleston White about HBCUs and how Deion took Black America's attention off HBCUs and put it on Colorado, a school that's 92% white, and the ramifications of that. My thoughts is, at the end of the day, Deion did was in the best interest of his family. And Coach Cole, as Coach Cole pointed out, he also took some Black coaches with him. So he fulfilled his obligation, not only to himself and his family, but also the Black community by creating opportunities for other Black men. I can't disagree with that, Coach Cole, and I think that was a great analysis of what happened. But I want to address this comment by Owen Lawson. Owen Lawson says, "Why this fascination with coaching at Power 5 level? I just don't give a damn about FBS schools. We invest too much in the other side of town and what is over there." Okay, so here's what I say. I'm not from a coach's perspective. I'm from a sheer fan perspective. It is seen as the best coaching, the best players play in those leagues. And I believe, and those players happen to be Black. And I believe those Black players that play for those predominantly white universities should have the ability to play for Black men, right, at those institutions, since they are wearing those colors and those jerseys. That's only fair to me. If the best players are going to those institutions and those institutions are recruiting those Black players, then those Black men, once they go through the system, graduate from those universities, and they want to become coaches, they should be given an opportunity to also coach if, in fact, they want to coach there as well. Period, point blank.
Well, the thing too, Coach, I've just said it earlier, at Black schools, you guys got to put money into athletics, Coach. If you want to be able to compete for those players at the FBS level, you got to put money into athletics. And I know the state doesn't fund athletics. And you talk about getting monies from these big donors, they have. Well, there's big companies, that's out there that maybe won't. We got to, like you said earlier, we got to put together a better marketing style. We got to be serious about if we want to have, good athletics. Like I said, we shouldn't run away from athletics. We should run to it. Like you say, all these players that's playing for these PWI schools, they would love to come, and play. But, ain't nobody, if I can't come in and look at, 100,000 fans come to a game, you know what I'm saying? To a nice stadium and a nice place. When you go look at Mississippi Valley and some of these stadiums that we have, and the product. It's the product.
And not to mention that the tax dollars from Black men and women who go to work every day are paid to those institutions to support those institutions, whether it be Mississippi, University of Texas, whomever. Our tax dollars are supporting those schools, and most certainly our Black men should have an opportunity to hold those positions. Coach, we got a call. We got a caller with the last 44897. You're live on the HBCU Coach's Corner with Coach Cole. What's your name and where you calling from?
My name is Owen. and I'm calling from Tacoma, Washington. I appreciate you reading my comments, Rocky.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah, so let me go deeper on this. If I heard what you said correctly, you talked about the best athletes having the right. They should have the ability to play for the best coaches.
No. You misstated that. I said.
Oh, for black coaches. I'm sorry.
The best coaches should have the opportunity to coach the best athletes. And those athletes, once they go to those universities, should have an opportunity to eventually, if they want to go into the career of coaching, to coach at those universities. That's what I'm saying. That's my point.
Okay, fair enough. And I don't have any disagreement with you on that. Rocky, I'm in the minority in the audience tonight.
Why is that?
Because I bring this perspective to the table. No, I'm not a woman. My voice is just high. I'm a guy. But where I come from, and by the way, Coach, I followed your brother. I lived in Nashville when they had Leon Murray. I go way back. I followed that big blue squad. I watched them lose to the North Carolina A&T Aggies in Nashville in the FCS playoffs.
Yes.
But Rocky, I want to go back and basically go one step further. I stopped watching the National Football League in 2014. And you know why I stopped, Rocky?
Why is that?
Because I felt like, and maybe I'm out on a limb here, but I felt like black men built that league. And when we look at the National Football League today, Magic Johnson owns a 4% ownership stake in the Washington Redskins. Before Walter Payton died, he went to the league and he said, I want a team in St. Louis. I want to be part of ownership. I want to have a significant role in ownership. And the league, well, all we need to know is Walter Payton ain't never been no owner of a football team. And so my point is, Rocky, I'm vibing with you that I'm in agreement with your statement around what coaches should have the access to who excel in their craft. But I think there's a bigger conversation to be had in our community is like, we're going to have to get out and compete and build a product that competes with an exploitative NCAA. All of these years, when you walk through the Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio, the number of black players from historically black colleges and universities is not, it's statistically significant. You will see a lot of those schools. The number of HBCUs that are in the universe, and we don't have one black conference at FBS level. We represent over 10% of the population, and we don't have one black conference. The last time a black school won the FCS was the first year it was created. And at some point, we have to make the decision to say, we will go build our own and compete. And what that looks like, the Celebration Bowl has built over the years. But even in that model, there's an opportunity to expand, to say, hey, let's do a +2 so that you could do a tie-in with the also-rans, with the suburb HBCUs. My beloved Aggies left. They decided they needed to go to the CAA. Disagree with the decision, but it's done now. But last year, you tell me you wouldn't have paid to see North Carolina A&T play FAMU in a +1? And if you just had those two games and you let those games run for 3, 4, 5 years, you build the impetus for a black national championship that everybody's buying into. Right now, as a North Carolina A&T fan, I sit on my hands for most years because I don't really care about the CAA. I want to be in a conversation around what's happening in Atlanta, right? And I'm saying this is what can be unleashed, and I just don't understand the fascination of If we get big enough and good enough, we can be in FBS. I don't give a.
So
you look at the number of athletes that are disenfranchised by the FBS model. Kids who gave their hearts for the University of Alabama, and 10 years later, don't nobody in that program know them, unless they were just all-stars. That tends not to be the way in HBCU land. So I'm not with the crowd who's like, we got to keep building this, and then one day we'll be in the FBS. I've had enough of the FBS model.
Yeah.
So that's the additional color I wanted to provide.
Well, I want to thank you for your comments, and I'll respond to it. Respond to them. Once you hang up, okay.
Have a good night.
You too. So here's the deal. I understand what the caller wants, and I'll also get Coach Cole too. The caller wants a all black platform that black people play in, that black people support, right? But I ask you, where does that exist other than church? I'll wait. We don't have an all black platform that exists outside that's separate, that's completely separate from white people. And I don't think that our colleges should operate in that fashion either, right? I think we could live up to the values in which those colleges were founded, right? By educating black young men and women, but they also can operate in the fashion that where eventually those schools, those universities who's making, because you got to understand, those universities don't have necessarily an alliance to one another. I think it's okay for A&T to pursue their own individual goals, Hampton to pursue their own individual goals, understanding that they probably made a mistake in the long run, right? And they still can backtrack if they choose, but not everybody wants the same thing. So I understand what you're saying, Owen, but at the very least, if they're going to play in this thing called the NCAA, and there's a school in North Carolina that has over 20,000 students that aspires one day to be an FBS school, why can't they pursue that goal, Coach, of being an FBS school? Because that FBS school gives their an opportunity to provide better resources for their players, better accommodations for their players, better salaries for their coaches, better compensation for their staff. Like you understand why it's important for a program that's able to elevate to go ahead and elevate if they can.
My take is, if we done that, I think we would be moving backwards. I think we're moving forward, but we're not moving fast enough. Again, in the 70s, when black players had started joining PWI schools, but we hadn't caught up on the administrative part, whether it's the head coach, whether it's the head trainer, whether it's the athletic director. We're not getting those jobs. And to me, if the NCAA was worth its salt, then they or maybe we need to go to the federal government on saying, we just got rid of affirmative action. Man, that was a major mistake, because we need affirmative action in college athletics. Not only are we not getting head football jobs, we're not getting head softball jobs, wrestling jobs, swimming jobs. You know what I mean? Now they're holding on to those jobs and saying, well, there's no black swimmers. That's what they give us. Well, there's not many white football players or basketball players. You know what I'm saying? Then why can't we get those jobs? And they're federal funded, they're state funded. That's where the argument is to me. The NFL, that's like owning Xerox and Target, and those are owned by individual. It's gonna be hard as heck to tell a billionaire, I'm gonna tell you who you gonna hire. You know,
Coach, we got to call up.
I don't think we there. I think we got to get head college jobs, Coach. We're still down in the 5 and 2 and 3% on the FBS jobs. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. And then when we do get the FBS jobs, they are the jobs that don't nobody want. You know what I'm saying? We're not getting, we got Notre Dame at one time before. He did a great job.
Freeman has it now.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? We got a job in Texas one time, and they ran the coach off there. You know what I mean? Hey. We got to demand that they do a better job, of affirmative action or whatever. I know he's got kicked out, of giving black coaches, not HBCU coaches, black coaches, opportunities to be head of these other jobs. And I think once that happened, then you'll see a major turnaround. It's good in basketball, or it's better. Let me say, it's not great. It's better, and it can be better, but it's terrible in football. And not only as the head coach, the assistant coaches, the trainers, the equipment managers, it's not working out for us.
Hey, Coach, caller with the last 4 5899. You're live with Coach Johnnie Cole on the HBCU Coach's Corner. What's your name and where you calling from?
Joey Baton Rouge. It's just a sound that our people always got to seek white validation to be accepted. And Charles White had a point. If Deion Sanders had a stayed at Jackson State, that could have been our black Alabama, our black Notre Dame. That would have transcended other HBCUs being filled with people like in the top 300 talent each year in the high school rankings. We probably would have got 50 or 60 of them. Next year, probably got 10 more of it. Just like back in the 70s, the true blue bloods of HBCU football, Tennessee State, Grambling, Jackson State, Florida A&M, and you can say honorary Alcorn State. If he had a stayed, man, that was at Jackson State games. You had Asians coming there, East Indians, whites. It was starting to happen. But we somehow got to get validation from white people. We got the best talent. You go to these schools, these Power 5 schools, making millions of dollars in your white students, for the whites. Most of those black kids don't even graduate. HBCUs, they graduate. Those players playing at PWI, they don't even graduate. They living off in the world about where they played at, hoping to get some sort of job or income, whatever. But we as black people, spending powers $1 trillion in this country. We can take half of that, and we don't need nobody else. We have our own networks. We build our own institution. And all we got to do is go in the doors and ask them all, send your kids to us. We're going to protect them. You never see no HBCU.
Well, let me ask you this. What about those institutions that are owned and ran by the states?
Well, an institution ran by the states, we have to sort of look what how Tennessee cheated Tennessee State, owed them $250 million. Just like all HBCUs, look at the record books, they've been cheated about $1 billion. We have to fight for, we're freedom fighters in the black community. We have to fight for what we want and get.
But those,
and the money is there.
But I'm saying those institutions are actually owned and ran by the state. Those people that work at those universities are state employees. So my point is, even though they were built to educate black people, those institutions aren't owned by black people. They owned by the states.
Okay, when I say we have $1 trillion spending power, if we as collectively get together, which is going to be hard to do, we wouldn't need the state.
Can I say something? We as black coaches don't need a black school to be validated. I mean, a guy like me, I always wanted to work at a HBCU. But what has happened to me in my career, man, I see why. I look back on my career, maybe I should have stayed at the University of Cincinnati when I was there. Because my talents and everything is excellent talent. But when you take talent like that and you come up with all these things about it, and then all of a sudden you mess the man's career up, I see why Deion left. Look, Pete Richardson won 17 years in a row, Coach. What and how can Southern be in some type of financial hardship when he won 17 years? He had one losing season in 17 years. Coach Broadway at Grambling, and of course about Eddie Robinson, did they build up the athletic program? Doug Williams. Grambling let Doug Williams go, Rocky, the second game of the year in mid-season. And you know what year it was? It was the 25th year that he had won the Super Bowl, the only black coach. We can't keep doing that and expect for this talent to stay there. You know, we're in a different time now. And I think there's a lot of great black coaches that can still be in HBCU, but move on to the PWIs. And I think that we need state senators and congressmen and stuff like that to help us move some of these old school people out of the way at these PWIs and give some of these, not give, but choose black coaches that are qualified to be coaching at them schools.
So Coach, the gentleman high tech, or I don't know if it's a woman or a lady, but I want to say this. Well, the white schools are run by the state as well. What's my point? My point was the gentleman was.
That's what you were talking about.
Yeah. The gentleman was suggesting that as black people, we should separate ourselves from white people. And my point is, those schools don't belong to black people. Those schools belong to the state of Texas, the state of Mississippi, the state of Louisiana.
And they ain't owned by white folks.
No, they're not. Yeah. They're not. They're owned by the state, and that's exactly was my point. Is that what we have to do, and I'm saying black people, right? Whether it's Southern, Grambling, TSU, whatever, we have to have the individual commitment, right, that other communities have to making sure that their schools have what they need in order to operate. When you talk about those state-run institutions, when you talk about the University of Texas, and they say, okay, none of taxpayer funds are used to support the athletic program. That's what they can say. They can say that $100 million budget that they have for athletics. They say none of that money, no tax money is used to support the athletic program. That's because their supporters, the people who love football and other athletics, make sure that they donate and support. I'll bring up Prairie View, for example. Prairie View had by all accounts, a really good season this year. Really good season. And when you look at their attendance ranks last in the SWAC. They're within 40 miles of one of the biggest cities in America, and they have the poorest attendance in the SWAC. Why is that? That's because the people in that community and the alumni do not support that institution. That's why. They don't come out to those games if it's not homecoming or it's not a classic. I ask you that. Why? I don't care if the University of Texas is playing Hamburger State. Darrell Ross Stadium is full. I don't care if they playing North, East, West, whatever. That stadium is full. My point is they support those programs to a fault. And that's what the way we should do as black people with our institutions that we love and support is we support them to a fault. Coach, we got Coach Cole. We got to call. Caller, hold on. I know Coach Cole wants to respond.
No, go ahead and let the caller go. Yo, let's.
Hey, caller, with the last 45240, you're live on the HBCU Coach's Corner with Johnnie Cole. What's your name and where you calling from?
What's going on, coaches? This is Joe, man. I think a lot of people is really looking over what Coach Cole is saying. he's saying the main reason is the administration not doing right with the money. We had all the players, just like Coach Cole was saying, we had talent, but we wasn't building up the program. There's no way in the world a high school can have better facilities than a college. And there's plenty of high schools got way better facilities than a college. How can a winning program like Alcorn or anybody else not have top-notch facilities? They're selling games, people going to games. What are the administration doing with the money? They're not investing back into the program. That's how Alabama be able to came team they way they are. They reinvest into the program. And that's what Coach Cole is saying. The administrator is not reinvesting into the program. They're just letting it go on down. Okay. And then you start losing players. Because if I take somebody and take them to a high rise, and then I take them, same player, and take them to the project, where do you think he's going to want to go?
And Joe,
he want to go to the high rise.
Joe, you're making a great point. And this is I went to FAMU. FAMU won the championship this year. I was in the field house with Coach Willie Simmons and his coaching staff. And again, it was the field house was neat. It was well kept. However, they were high school level accommodations. They were not. There are some high schools with much better facilities.
Can I piggyback on
FAMU coach? Go ahead, Coach.
Do you know that FAMU is the only HBCU coach to win a national title on the FCS level? And you know when they won it? In 1978. And that place looked like that. You know what I mean? When I've taken over programs, coach, and I walked in the door, couches lipped over, chairs broke down. You don't have stuff in the places where you been. You know what I mean? Locker room depleted. Water don't work. Coach, man, I grew up in a family of 9 boys in a 3-bedroom duplex. And our house was always clean. Water always worked. The 2 or 3 pair of pants we had was clean and iron. It don't take nothing to do that. But when you don't have the right people in place, Rocky, that don't understand that all this stuff counts. We went and visited Florida State, and I actually got to see Deion's locker. It's still there in glass. Deion sat in his locker. And the locker room was so clean. And, I've asked, talking with the equipment man, I said, man, why this locker room so clean? You know what they call it, Rocky?
What's
they
that?
Call it recruit ready. No matter when somebody come in there, it's ready. We don't understand that. Then when you win, and then when you want more money, then you got the people saying, well, you won with that. Instead of saying, we're going to get better every year. Okay, coach, you got 7. I had 7 scholarships in Lane. Okay, coach, you had 7. You're doing a good job. We're going to give you 7 more. Then if you make sure you're bringing in students so we can get their Pell Grant, we're going to give you 7 more. Because we doing what, Rocky? We moving towards having the max amount. You got a school
full accommodation of scholarships.
They had football over 100 years. 100 years. And when I was there, I got the first draft choice. We went in the 3rd round, Jacoby Jones. But the school had been there 100 years, coach.
And can I make one more statement before I go?
Do the business, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
I want to make one more statement. And Deion made a perfect point. They go to the Celebration Bowl. The football team gets none of that money. If they go to the Celebration Bowl, they should get all that money. FAMU been to the Celebration Bowl, what? Maybe 4 years straight?
Yeah.
Who?
Just imagine, Alcorn.
Yes.
Well, that was
Alcorn went to Celebration 4 years straight.
Yeah.
I think 3 years.
I'm just saying, they went to 3 years straight. That's $3 million. Just imagine what kind of upgrade they could have did to their facility with $3 million.
Yeah.
But where the money go? Don't nobody knows.
Yeah, Coach. Joe, I think the model that FBS schools have for their athletic department is the model that maybe HBCUs should pick up for theirs. If the football team generates the money, they should keep the money. Understanding
they should keep the money.
Understanding that at some point, if you build up your athletic program, it will be able to fund other things at your school like it does at the University of Texas. At the University of Texas, if there's a surplus in the athletic department, they're able to donate money to the institution.
Well, I believe all football programs donate money to other institutions. But what I'm saying, if they do that, the football can be self-sustained off the money they make by themselves. That means the money the football program, the budget the football program got, they make their own money. That way, the rest of the money, the football budget can actually go to everybody else. So the football team is actually making their own money.
So what we're saying, D-Lob, is that any money that's generated by the football team should be earmarked for the football budget.
Football team, yeah.
That's what we're saying. We're saying that the model should not be that the money generated by the football team goes into the general funds that is then divvied up by the president at his discretion. It should go under the auspices of the athletic director and allow the athletic director to improve facilities and provide adequate training tables, so on and so forth for those athletes, because those are the guys that are on the front lines generating that money. Period, point blank, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion, and I completely agree with you.
And they're saying,
Joe.
And they're saying, you know what I mean, can't compare Alabama. Once upon a time, Alabama couldn't touch Grambling. Now, I'm pretty sure they had almost the same facilities back then, because it wasn't all this technology. But what Alabama did, they started investing money into the program. Money Alabama was making, they started putting it back into the program, putting it back into the program, putting it back to the program. And that's how it was able to upgrade. Just a matter of able families put that $1 million and invest it into their football program.
And they start recruiting black players when USC beat the hell out of Alabama.
Yeah.
They started recruiting black players. Let me say this too. In my, you know, when I was in OVC,
I'm gonna hang up, Rocky.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, when I was in OVC, Rocky, we were going, you know, playing the PWI schools. You know, we went to Western Kentucky, Eastern Kentucky, and we went to the game. They had one side of the stadium huge, like a big stadium. Then the other side was small. And talking with the AD and people around it, you know what they were doing, Rock?
What is that?
They built the other side, but they built the PE department underneath it. Why? To get what? State funds. You know, that's creative. So now when you go back to Western Kentucky, they built or East Kentucky, they built their program up. Now they 1A. And now they're getting the TV money and the TV package money. Now they don't finish the stadium off. We could do the same thing, Rob. We could put the PE department right up underneath the stadium, or whatever department right up underneath the stadium. You know what I'm saying? On several floors. You know what I mean? And then have the athletic department somewhere on several floors, or one or two floors, and get state funds to fund the stadium or fund the field house.
Coach, this is an interesting hire, right, Coach? Stephen Campbell, and I've verified it by several news outlets, that former South Carolina player and coach Joel Taylor has been named the head coach of South Carolina State. And let me just go through his resume that I have. This is from Wikipedia. In 2006, 2005 to 2008, he worked at South Carolina State. Is he
the head coach at West Georgia? Is that what he's saying on two? Is that what he said?
Yes.
Former South Carolina State player and coach Joel Taylor has been named head football coach at West Georgia.
Okay. Yes, at West Georgia. That's where he was. My correction. Okay. He's at West Georgia. He was named the head coach at West Georgia. I misunderstood that.
That's great, coach. That's one of the few black coaches and HBCU coach to get a PW job on another level. Because we do not give them on FCS levels or Division II levels either.
That's interesting, Coach. That's an interesting hire.
Thank you, Mr. Campbell. Thank you for that.
Appreciate that. And for me, I appreciate all the opportunities that black men get to coach at whatever level as head coaches, because you know how rare that is. I've lived around a major university my entire life, and I remember when there were no coaches on the staff at all, and I even appreciate it now when they have now 5 or 6 position coaches that are black, because that has not always been the case. And those opportunities are important for those black men and those families, because they can create life-changing opportunities for themselves, for them and their families, and that's important, in my opinion.
The main thing, Coach, is that we got to take HBCU football serious. We got to put the dollars into these programs, not just football, we're the major revenue sports, and we got to make it important. You know what I mean? We got to make it look right. We got to stay recruit ready when people watch us on TV. We got to do that. And you need people who understand and know football and know funding and know facilities. I ran the facilities, the athletic facilities in Fort Worth, and we got what we call a forecast budget, Rocky. I'm talking to you, ain't I, Rock? Forecast budget. The forecast budget was for money, so when the lights went out, we ain't scrambling for light money. When the turf is bad, we ain't scrambling for turf money. You know what I mean? When the facility water ain't working, we ain't looking for water money. This is money that you put them on a forecast. So on a rotation, Coach. So we're gonna redo all the pipes, in the field house. Next year we're gonna redo the lights and get LED lights. Then next year we gotta do turf. But you gotta have people who know these things, man. Not somebody that never been, a AD and all this. Oh, well, I like it. Come on, man, be our AD. You know what I mean? You can't do that, And if you do it, that's why we're in the predicament.
The football program is the front porch of your university.
Yes,
it is it's the thing that everybody sees first. That's how it is. The athletics is this thing that every kid see. Everybody who attends your university is going to see a representative of your athletic program first. We got a caller, Coach Cole. Caller with the last 40536. You're live on HBCU Coach's Corner. With Coach Cole, what's your name and where you calling from? Hello, caller. You're live on HBCU Coach's Corner. What's your name and where you calling from? Hello, are you there?
He trying to listen to his self-talk.
Nah, I can't hear. I can't hear him. Go ahead and remove him. All right. Go ahead, Coach.
I talk with ADs, especially older ADs and ADs that's been successful, like Patrick Simon. Where is he at? We've put some of these guys on the shelf that still had opportunities, you know what I'm saying? But you got to know all that stuff when you're building a program, like we go out and we buy new uniforms every year, trying to stay up with Oregon when Nike give Oregon new uniforms all the time to market their uniforms. Some places.
Are you there, caller? Caller, are you there? I just removed. Go ahead, Coach.
Well, I'm looking at Mr. Hornsby said we have to start giving, and no matter how much.
That's Miss Hornsby. That's Miss Hornsby. That's go ahead.
Okay. We have to start giving, And no matter how much y'all don't want me to say it, we alumni have to do better, give you money. And here's what I say. You're correct. And that's why I say that the universities, these HBC universities, got to keep graduates around there. People give money to people. They don't give money to buildings. They give money to people where they feel comfortable in there, they trust. You know what I mean? Bill Cosby went to Temple, but he gave money to Morehouse and Morris Brown. Denzel Washington didn't go to Morehouse. He gave money through his son. I've gotten money when I was a head coach at different places because they knew me. They knew they felt comfortable. When the national salary of Black people households, coach, is 45, 50,000, how much can they give, coach? That's why
not much, coach.
That's why we need these jobs at these PWI schools. It's called economics. You know what I mean?
Hey, caller, you're live on HBCU Coach's Corner with Coach Cole. What's your name and where you calling from?
Hey, my name's Tony, calling out of Nashville, Tennessee. How you doing, Rocky and Coach Cole? Coach Cole, I want to say to you, man, that we appreciate those years that you and your brother spent in Nashville. I know you guys probably think that a lot of people don't appreciate you guys, but you know, we talk about those times quite a bit. I was at those games when you up there at Murray when we won the first one. I still have a piece of the goalpost pad, and then the second one that we won there at that time I think it was called Adelphia Coliseum. And unfortunately, you guys had too many injuries at the end of the year because what a lot of people don't realize, a little bit of Black HBCU football trivia, Tennessee State was ranked number 1 in the country overall. Yeah. That's over North Dakota State and everybody. But because of the injuries that were occurred at that time, we didn't have a full deck of cards, and North Carolina A&T upset us in that first round. But I just want to make a comment on something I put in the chat. And this is my personal opinion. The reason why, from an administrative standpoint, the way things are conducted the way they are, is that a lot of these admin people did not build an affinity or love for football or athletics in general when they were in school. You know, they're the ones that a lot of us complain about. They hang out there in the tailgate, they walk around the concourse and all that. That was when they was in school. And when they transition later on in their life and they get these top-level administration jobs, they feel the same way. Another thing you have to look at is the percentages of female to male ratio. Now, there are a lot of females that love football and they know something about football, but the overall majority of them really don't know anything really that much about football or care that much about it. That's why they're more into the bands. So that's where, as time goes on, that's affecting that support that you guys are talking about. So that's just my opinion. I'll let you guys expound on that and give your opinion. But thanks again, Coach Cole. I hate that we weren't able to take care of you guys the way we really wanted to back in the day. You know, now things are quite a bit different. I mean, anytime you paying, I don't know how much your brother got paid, but they're paying Eddie like $400,000. You know, so
my brother's making $75,000. Wow.
Oh man,
$75,000.
But that's because how much things have changed. That's clear. And things have changed quite a bit, and there's going to be some big things happening down the road that I can't really speak on. But look for big things from Tennessee State going on in the future, no matter who's the coach. Yeah. But get off, and thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hey, Coach Cole, you froze, so you know what to do. You know you got to disconnect and reconnect, and then we got about 5 minutes once you reconnect before we get out of here, man. But you know, I still say, you know, someone made an argument that the front porch argument only goes so far, right? I disagree with that. That at the end of the day, the brand, the primary brand of the university, that gets out to the lay people. I'm not talking about the people that's seeking out education or whatever. I'm talking about your institution is introduced to people primarily.
Sybil Wilkes with what you need to know. Today is Monday, December 11th, 2023. Number 1. A treatment for sickle cell disease, described as groundbreaking, was recently approved by the Food and Drug Administration. The use of gene editing technology offers new hope for those suffering from the inherited debilitating blood disorder primarily affecting African Americans. The FDA announced approval of the 2 milestone treatments, Casgevy and Lyfgenia, representing the first cell-based gene therapies for the treatment of sickle cell disease in patients 12 years and older. Number 2, the city of Houston, Texas elected a new mayor in a runoff Saturday. U.S. Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee and State Senator John Whitmore faced off in the December 9th election, with Whitmore declaring victory Saturday night. The 14-term Congresswoman announced her run for the city's top spot in the spring, facing off against a large, almost 20-person, nonpartisan field. Number 3, we all say we want to be healthy, but what do we mean when we say that? The World Health Organization defines it as complete state of physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmities. Understanding where and how we can improve those factors is essential if we want to move in that direction for ourselves and our families. One of the critical factors is knowing our health numbers, how our weight factors in, and the combined effect that it may have on us now and in the future. Read more all about that in today's newsletter. Number 4. On December 7th, the What You Need to Know newsletter reported the story of reformed Alabama police officer Dana Elmore, whose brutal actions were caught on video during her arrest of a 24-year-old black man, Michael Washington. Elmore has since been placed on administrative leave. New developments have occurred, including the possibility of Washington being cleared of all charges due to false findings in the investigation. Number 5, giving is when you present voluntarily a tangible or non-tangible item and you don't expect anything in return. Some people give in December because it's the end of the tax year. Some people give from the heart, and some people, it can be a combination of the two. For Christians, giving is a cornerstone for who we are and whom we represent, God. Read more about giving in today's newsletter. It's Ministry Monday. Here's your daily inspiration from Yogi's Jewels. Blessed of the pure of heart, for they shall see God. Join me today live on YouTube and Facebook at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central with our social justice contributor and almost birthday girl, Coy Malone, as we discuss today's top headlines and more. Thank you to our What You Need to Know partners, the American Heart Association and Black Health Matters. Barbara Scotia College and HBCU in Concord, North Carolina needs our help. The What You Need to Know team is asking supporters, alumni, and friends of Barbara Scotia to help them meet their immediate and pressing needs by donating to help Barbara Scotia rise. Please join the thousands of donors from around the world who are stepping up to save one of the nation's oldest HBCUs. Please visit SybilWilkes.com for more information. I'm Sybil Wilkes. Be informed, be empowered.